Robby is with Hatch Coaching. Known him through the Wailopo community for a long, long time. First of all, we have to tackle the big, everyone's calling me, texting me, saying, what in the hell is going on with Texas right now? We are not prepared for this kind of weather. You're in Fargo, right?
Yeah, the exact opposite. We live in this for far too long every year.
Yeah, I am literally drinking water from a bowl because our water is not drinkable, so I have to microwave it and drink it. And so, yeah, the 180,000 people were without power. We were without power for a few days. Then we got a room finally one night. All the hotel rooms were downtown were sold out. We managed to get one, and then get back yesterday. My tankless hot water heater froze on the outside. So we have no water. We were supposed to put no hot water until supposedly Tuesday. Okay. That was as soon as we could get an appointment. We just found out that the truck that was delivering the tankless hot water heater from Waco to Austin crashed on the way down. So yeah.
Goodness.
That's great. So Robby, okay. So let's dive into this. I mean, our topic is how to, convert with ISAs. You are a man of many talents. So I think this could be almost like a morph of like how to have better conversations, what to say. I know we've taken your trainings. My ISA has taken your trainings. What do you think we're doing wrong in the real estate industry?
Yeah, so great question. And obviously keeping you all in our thoughts, prayers, and just honestly hoping for some heat down there in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Give them 10 degrees more would be great. Let's get them, above 33 or 34.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I know you guys down in Texas will recover, get through all this. We've seen you all do it before. So I'm excited to see how you rebound like always.
Thank you.
In terms of lead conversion, right? I think there's a couple things we do wrong, and we'll go down two different paths. One is more systemic, and one is more basically isolated in the conversation. It's more psychological is probably the best way to view it. In terms of psychology, what it really comes down to, I think the biggest problem that we see is people try to be very salesy and scripty. Like they want to have the script for every single scenario. They want to know what I need to be saying. And Ryan, I just really, when I was in ISA, boots on the ground, making the calls, talking to leads, what I learned very, very quickly is that people didn't want to be sold. They want to be heard, understood, and valued. And really, I think the paradigm shift that people have to go through is winning a lead over is not about you selling them on yourself. It's about you selling yourself on them. And you have to go through that power shift, that dynamic change. And I think that's one of the things that very few people end up doing. They think that the way you're going to win somebody over is by talking about your accolades or how you're selling things quicker or how you're better than other agents. And what actually happens, I like to give an analogy of a guy in a bar, right? Imagine the guy in the bar who's talking about how great he is all the time, how good he is. Yep. When you see that person, the first thing you want to do is walk the other way, right? You want to run away. So it's not about you selling yourself. And we do that. What I've realized is we oftentimes psychologically do that out of our own insecurities. We think we're not good enough for these people. So what we do is we try to overcompensate. And what I've learned is they don't care. Leads don't care about you. What they actually care about is themselves. So we've just shifted it, man. It's not about you selling yourself. It's not about your script. It's about, are you able to sit down and just ask questions of Ryan to allow him to open up about what he's hoping to do?
Right. Okay. And so take us back for a second here, because I've got a whole lot of questions for you, but I want to start with I want to take us back to where you came from. Where are you at today? Because you started, you don't have the traditional journey of a real estate agent, right? Are you a principal in Hatch Coaching? And
yeah, so I'll tell you the background story. So again, from Fargo, North Dakota, I lived here since I was 3 years old. Long story short, I started off not as an agent. I started off as an ISA, right? And really all that means is I was the person in charge of reaching out, having conversations, and trying to turn have not mets into mets, right? trying to turn all those internet leads, any lead really, into someone that was willing to meet with us. I like to call it the toughest hill to climb in real estate, frankly, because the ability to call a random person or text a random person who doesn't care at all about you is one of the most difficult things. But what's really funny, Ryan, is actually my sales experience, it predated getting into real estate. What I did before I got into real estate, I actually worked in politics and in something known as field. All right, field is essentially being an ISA, but of political campaigns. I was working for a candidate and working for a series of candidates that I really believed in, right? Because I went to school for political science. But more importantly, I was a field organizer. So I was knocking doors of voters, calling voters, identifying, we call them targets. It's a weird word, but they were targets. And we were trying to identify who are the people we could get out and vote for us, right? So have you ever heard of get out the vote efforts? I was one of those people. And I'll tell you this, I learned one big thing when I was working in politics. It's that nothing is less popular than politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got called every name in the book, right? I had guns pointed at me, people telling me to get off the doorstep, all this crazy stuff. And what it really comes down to is when I was joining the campaign, they gave me the script book, just like you all get in real estate. Here you go. This is what you need to memorize. Except it was, here's our candidate. This is everything people need to know and why they want to vote for our candidate. And what's really funny about it is I tried going out to people's doorsteps and tried to sell them on my candidate, and people pointed guns at me, right?
Yeah.
So I changed it. So instead of me going up and saying, Ryan, I'm with blank and blank political party, here's a couple of reasons you should vote for our candidate. I came up and I said, hey, Ryan, I'm out here with blank and blank political party. I wanted to know what matters to you this election.
Yeah.
People wouldn't shut up. I just kept talking and talking and talking. And so my experience started there. I became an ISA at Hatch Realty. If you're a numbers person, I made 100,000 phone calls. This is when people still answered the phone, by the way, which we can talk about some of that data that I got today, cutting edge fun data. But I made 100,000 phone calls, spoke to 10,000 people, set 1,000 appointments that led to about 400 plus closings for our team in about a 2-year time period. And then what happened was people kept asking, well, how can you help us? How can you help us? And our real estate team last year sold 868 homes. We've already pended and closed 220 so far in 2021. Obviously the market's crazy hot, so that kind of helps, right? There's some limits with a crazy seller's market like right now. But really the big point is we've built about 40 to 50% of our business is always ISA procured business. It's the ISA.
Okay, so let me ask you this: so you started as like an employee, and you were were you just crushing it so much that like your broker or your boss was like, you know what, this is something special here? Is that what it seems?
Yeah, great question. So I came in as an ISA and really kind of redefined what being an ISA meant. At that point, most people, when an ISA came in, they would give their ISA the new incoming leads. When I came in as an ISA, the only leads I got were the old leftover garbage can leads, right?
Yeah.
And what was funny is, again, from my perspective, I was so used to calling people in politics and getting sworn at, it didn't matter, right? I could call these leads, and as long as they weren't swearing at me, pointing guns, life was good. But what was funny was I had 2,000 old Tiger leads, if you remember Tiger leads, which was pre-Ylopo, right? Howard's gig. I had 2-year-old Tiger leads that I got access to. 2 years old. This was back in 2013. So they're old as crap, right? And all I did was call through all those, contacted a ton of people, and ended up getting about 40 closings from those 2,000 leads over the next year and a half. So everybody had called these leads junk, and here I am going and pulling 2% closings when most people, as you know, are converting these things at 0.5 to 1%. So what it was is, what we started to see was our numbers comparatively were 3 or 4xing everybody else. And it really all came down to the approach of we were willing to work PPC leads, which most people in the real estate industry were unwilling to, right? It was crap. Don't waste my time. Keep calling. We've had to pivot that now. To be very frank, you can't call leads like you used to. It doesn't work. You have to be texting leads at a really high level to get them to respond. So the game is changing and we're changing with it. And we're trying to be on the cutting edge of that. But really what it came down to is I started off as an ISA, became a leader in our company. Eric Hatch is the face of the company, hence the name Hatch. Far more marketable name. So when we created Hatch Coaching, we're like, why be original? So we just called it Hatch. And we did that. I'm a co-owner in Hatch Coaching with Eric, myself, and Rachel, who was another star in our company who was really on like the COO detail side of things. And what we did is like, well, why don't we saw what people were doing in the coaching industry. Like, well, we could do that way better than most people. So we created coaching as like a sister spin-off company. So
and I love that story. You know, I kind of figured that just by watching, but I've never really heard it, you know. And most of the time when I hear, you know, you talk or interview, you always give a lot of great information about leads, but you're interesting as well. And like, you know, that story of you know, getting to the point where you are now, starting as like an employee is something that, you know, like you're very well known in the national real estate scene, and you know, your name comes up all the time. And I can relate to that so much because, first of all, I started one of my first jobs it wasn't called an ISA. I don't even know what it was called. Maybe it was as an ISA. I was like 19 or 20 years old for Deluxe Carpet Cleaners. I remember, hi, this is Ryan with Deluxe Carpet Cleaners. We're running a special, blah, blah, blah. It was like the worst job in the world, right? But it kind of, you know, gives you that edge and that you're not afraid of rejection. And then. And secondly, like, I think I love having people that have that story of rising up in the company. I mean, Kelly started as basically an intern. I made her jump through hoops and do videos of houses. And my operations manager was a, you know, $12 an hour person off of Craigslist. My sales manager, same thing, you know, the cream rises to the top. And that's such a great background story. So when you talk to, what is the biggest mistake when it comes to, like, so we talked about how people they're asking the wrong questions. They're starting the conversations wrong, right? When it comes to companies that want to start an ISA service, what are the biggest mistakes that they make?
Well, I'm actually going to take it one step further. And I'm going to tell you, it's the biggest mistake I see every real estate company making when they want to grow and they want to expand is they go hire other people, whether it's an ISA or an agent, in production-based roles. And what they do is they just give them opportunities. You see, what we've learned in our business model is everything should be earned, nothing should be given. And Ryan, almost everybody has learned this the hard way, including us. But what it really comes down to is when we bring people in, we make the journey difficult in the hiring process. Like, I love what you just said, by the way. With Kelly is you have people work through resistance because it filters people out that don't have the grit to get through it. But even for us in our model, when you come in as an ISA, the first leads you get, remember I just told you it about me, the only leads I had access to were the old leftover junk leads. That's all I had. So really what it comes down to, the biggest mistake I see people making is whether they're hiring an agent or an ISA, you're giving them the easy stuff too soon. And what people do, this is the funny thing, Ryan, is when people hire them that way and then they onboard them that way, and then they become entitled to the easy stuff a month or two later, they get frustrated as a business owners that they have entitled ISAs or entitled agents. And here's the thing is, if you go to the mall, I don't know who goes to malls anymore, but if you were to go to the mall and you see an 8-year-old kid who's kicking and screaming because he had an iPad taken away and he's clearly spoiled, is that ever the 8-year-old's fault? No, it's always the parent's fault. And this is what people, it really honestly frustrates me, to be completely honest. A lot of people like to sit there and complain about their agents. I'm like, you should be sitting there complaining about yourself. It's your fault. You either hired the wrong person or you onboard them in a way where they came entitled. You created an entitled little kid. You either enabled it by hiring it or you created it. So that's probably the biggest problem I see in the industry.
Yeah, and I've gone through that obviously a lot, and also when it comes to leads, like I cut my teeth on internet leads, right? If we set up a new lead system, I mean, I don't like taking leads. I'm not even in sales anymore, but I take these leads on myself because I want to do two things. I want to develop a system for following up those leads and prove the team that I'm not above any of that, right? So we did the same thing with several different people, tried to hire some, rock star person that's going to be the ISA. And we went through your coaching, which was amazing. And just for anybody that's watching or listening, he's got a training program for how to hire the right ISA. And I think that what we settled on was like, we had two people that we were going to hire. They just weren't going to work out. Like we couldn't get a good licensed person, right? So what we ended up doing was hiring someone who just filled out the right questions. Kelly, I think Kelly went through the different people, Kelly and Sunny, and we ended up hiring Kaylee. She's, I don't know, 20, 21, I don't even know how old she is, but, we stopped looking for this rock star. And then we put her through the monthly training that you offer. And I don't mean to say that she's not a rock star. What I mean is like, we're not hiring, the golden goose of, lead converters. Like anybody can do this, right? And if you set the expectation too high, I think that you're going to get people that have too high of an expectation. This girl just, she's just cranking out calls, right? Transferring them. And like, it took a little while, but like we're getting several live transfers a week now.
Yeah.
To add to that, I totally agree with Robby, what you're saying, and also Ryan and I's take on it. Something that is really important, not only with ISAs, but maybe with anyone that you hire at an entry level. You don't really want someone with that much experience anyway. You want someone who's a little bit easier to train, almost like a blank slate. You don't want someone with bad habits to fix because that's just super counterintuitive. That's what you might get if you get someone with too high of expectations or, too much experience.
Yeah.
We hired out of every single person we've ever hired on our team, one person had their real estate license, and that is it. Yeah. Every single other person, although we have ISAs that come in and get their license, they don't start until they go get their license. They didn't have it. When we hire agents, all of them except one didn't have their agent, or they didn't have their license. Sorry, they weren't an agent. They're fresh. And it's exactly what you just said. Yeah. Almost always there's bad habits, those frustrations. So I agree 100%. You're hitting on another huge point of you have to retrain a lot of, and they come in with assumptions, right? They come in with all these preconceived notions of this is how I used to do it. We found, I agree, is molding and crafting is far easier than rebuilding, right? That's my experience.
Yeah. So you were talking about how, in another broadcast I saw, and I'd like to hear your take on this now. How are things changed in terms of lead conversion? I mean, we know, I think I heard you say, less than 10% of people answer the phone. What's working these days?
Yeah. So the biggest thing we how to best describe this real quick. We just did a whole white paper study, and this is preliminary data. It's not finalized yet. But what we're seeing, and I should tell you what my ISAs have been seeing. They stopped calling new PPC leads back in August and September of last year, 2020. And here's why, is they did a brief off the hand study. It wasn't a white paper, but they did an off the hand study. And what they realized was calling leads was actually reducing contact rates. All right. So imagine you have two different groups, Group A and Group B. Group A, you call, text, and email. Group B, you only text and email. Logic simply says, well, you're doing more with Group A. You're calling in addition to texting and emailing. You would think Group A would have a higher contact rate. Well, what we're seeing actually is Group A has a significantly lower contact rate. And the only thing I can think of, Kelly, maybe I'm going to pick on you for a second, is if you get a call from a random phone number, you don't ever answer it. And if anything, you probably get annoyed of it. You're probably like, why are you doing this to me? And you're like, cleaning that people out. Fair to say?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people aren't waking up to, Ryan. Like I've been hammering the drum of this, and people are
Yeah.
still calling their PPC leads. We stopped doing it. Mike Novak stopped doing it. We convert PPC leads better than almost anyone. You know, Mike is
Wow. So you're not making any initial calls at all?
only when behavior necessitates it. So think about this. If Kelly goes through Zillow and she submits an inquiry and she gets a random phone call, she's expecting a random phone call mentally.
Right.
This is my favorite part about, not favorite. When it came to COVID, call answer rates spiked, right? We all saw it happen. Here's why they spiked. People like to say, well, it's because people wanted to talk. No, it wasn't, although that was a piece of it. The reason they started answering their phones because they were expecting calls from random phone numbers. They were calling the PPP. They were calling their bank.
Yeah.
People were making these calls, so they were panicking. So their bank was calling them back. Well, when they were calling back, guess what it comes from? A random phone number. That's why we saw a momentary spike in answer rates. And guess what happened to it a month and a half later? It crashed.
Yeah.
The point is behavior can be correlated. So when somebody submits a property inquiry, they're expecting, they've put it out there that they want a phone call. They want information. Even we're contacting most of those people via text these days. The big thing I'm just trying to get people to understand is younger people, 30 years and younger is kind of my cutoff, right? It's I'm 30, so I'll just say 30 and younger.
Yeah.
What it really comes down to is they don't want your random phone call. It actually upsets them. It frustrates them. What people need to recognize is that is becoming the normal. If you ever want to see the future of something, 5, 10, 15 years from now, you probably shouldn't go look at my grandma who's 75, 80 years old. She's not the trendsetter, right?
Yeah.
You go look at the kids. Here's my other favorite point behind this. If a lot of parents that maybe are listening to this that have 15 or 20-year-old kids with phones, they know the pain of calling their kid and their kids never answer. But they'll text them back a second later and say, "What's up, Mom?"
Yeah.
That's how they roll. That's just the world they live in. And so the point behind this is a random phone call served a purpose. But that purpose now has outlived its usefulness. You see, a random phone call in most instances is being deemed as annoying. It's unwanted. And really, it's undefined. You don't have control over it. And, you know, Kelly's grown up in a world where she has convenience and control at her fingertips. Really, most of your your whole adult life, your whole economic life, you've had control and convenience. Well, random phone calls, not really convenient, and you don't have control. It's inconvenient and a lack of control. So it's dying. It's gonna die off. So
okay. So what about video text? What about bomb? What do you think about that?
Overrated. Unbelievable. Overrated. So overrated. So what people don't understand is they're confusing all video with people to be the same. Okay. So people that follow your channels that know and love you, videos of you, they're going to watch it, right? Because they love you, they respect you. Instagram stories, right? Facebook stories, all these types of things. TikTok. You seek out that video. Here's where people have got this confused. Imagine if you go to a car dealership's website and you're looking at some cars on a car dealership's website and you're forced to register. And next thing you know, you're getting a video from a random car salesperson. Most people that say that, they're like, usually what I hear is that's weird. Or some people will even say, well, that's creepy, right? Why? You see what video is doing to a lead that doesn't care about you. We talked about that earlier, right? Leads don't care about you. You're sending them a video of you. They don't care.
Right.
So that's the problem with it. It's just kind of an awkward thing. I think it's unbelievably overrated. Is video powerful to your past clients, friends, and family? 1,000,000%, because they know you, they respect you. That's powerful. But people confuse that with sending it to a random person that doesn't care about you and your business.
So here's what we are working with video that's been really helpful is we're doing ads for market reports on different areas. Like a lot of our agents are doing that, right? Where they sign up for Barton Hill's market report, right? So what I've been doing with them is, I'm calling, obviously, leave a message, right? Just saying, hey, you signed up for the market report. I'm going to send you a CMA. And then I do a bomb screen share where I'm at the bottom of the video and I go over the CMA with them. And and it's funny because I heard you say that about bomb videos in the past. And I completely agree with you. It's crazy. Like the reply rates on our bomb are nothing. But on these, I have probably had a 50%, not 50, that's probably too generous, 30% reply saying, thanks for the info. Because it's not about me in there. It's me like showing them a less, So what else?
They wanted a CMA, correct?
Well, they wanted a market report. Sure. Right. So, we're taking a step further and giving them a CMA on their house because we can match their data with, we figure out who they are.
I think that's brilliant. Somebody had brought up, they're like, another piece, they had brought up, well, what if the car salesperson sent you a video of the car you were interested in?
Yeah.
That'd be valuable. The problem is, you can't scale that in real estate. In car sales, you can walk from car to car to car in 2 minutes. In real estate sales, not at all feasible. It's just not feasible at all. I do like that. You're sending somebody valuable information. They've expressed interest. One other funny thing I would do, Ryan, this is one thing I've learned about people and their neighbors. One of the things that I advocate for all my coaching clients is, make sure to put your past clients on a safe search and tell them about this for their neighborhood. Because what happens is we all secretly love creeping on our neighbors' houses. Okay, let's just be honest, right? If my neighbor across the street lists their home, I want to know what his office is like. I want to compare it to mine. I want to know what that better. But why do you guys have such dated kitchen? Fix that, right? That's do that. So put them on a safe search. They don't unsubscribe from that thing. I guarantee you. So make sure you're doing that as well.
So what we do instead of that is we put everybody on a Homebot, right? And because Homebot in Texas is a non-disclosure state, and these evaluation tools are wildly behind, right? We send them the video with it, and then I put them in Homebot, let it go to automatic just to see. It's always like 150,000 below, and then change it to the correct one. And in that video that I send them, in the first one, it's like, look, I'm going to put you on a service that will tell you what your home's worth, how much equity you have over each month. But just know the market's moving so fast that I'm going to adjust it manually, but it's going to have to be adjusted manually in a year. So what about for mass leads? Like, what are you doing for are you guys doing newsletters or anything like that?
Yeah, we don't do any newsletters. One of the biggest things that obviously in this market, everybody's craving listings, right? They're just dying for it. And I always talk about how, for me, my brain works. I read a book called Upstream. Have you guys ever heard of upstream thinking before?
I've heard of it, yeah.
So Upstream was written by, I think it was Dan or Chip Heath. There's two brothers, and they've written books together. One of them wrote this separately. All upstream thinking is all about when you have a problem, almost always what you failed to do was move upstream and you failed to look at the problem differently. So a really good example is, let's say, Ryan, you and I are out fishing, right? And all of a sudden we see in the river a kid floating down the river who's about to drown. What are you and I going to go and do? We're going to save the kid, right?
Yeah.
Normal. What happens when two more kids come down the river after we get done saving that one and we see them, they're about to drown? We're going to hop in and go save the kids. Here's what you should do is when a kid is floating down the river about to drown, you should go and save them. And I should probably go upstream and be like, how the heck did this kid get in the river?
Yeah.
This is where everybody goes wrong with their thinking regarding problems, is they get stuck in what's known as downstream thinking. Downstream thinking is solving the now problem. The now problem everybody has is, I need listings. You see, what we've done in our business, we do a lot of upstream thinking. We do client events 3 times a year. We just did one last week. We had 1,900 past clients, friends, and family drive to our office in negative 10-degree heat, come to our office and get a free pizza, bottle of wine, or 6-pack of beer, or 2-liter of soda.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. If you're a past client and you just got that from us, are you going to come back to us and buy a home from us a year later if we keep doing it?
Yeah.
Come on. When your friend says they're thinking about listing, you see, what we've figured out is getting past clients to come back has less to do with you asking for business, and it has everything to do with you treating people in a way where you attract business. So what we're doing, and what got me thinking about this, we used to send postcard invites. Too old school. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Facebook invites, text invites, some calls, not really at all, but mostly text and Facebook. Soon it'll be WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. It's just so we're moving upstream and treating people in a way that they feel compelled to come back to us, to give us business because they want to.
Yeah, and we've done that too. We've been lax on it during COVID, but we do a yearly client appreciation party. We go all out, spend $10,000 at least on it. Rent out movie theaters, stuff like that. But we do a newsletter that for all of our agents that it goes out for all of them. Kelly does it, and it's nothing like not really wordy. It's got average days on market, average price, and then some of the articles like how to make your home office very, and then we have lead capture like, homes under 400, homes with pools, luxury homes, so that our follow-up boss system, people, when they send their newsletter out, they can literally go back and see what people read and try to, I do that for agent recruitment. I send out a newsletter every week and I go back, I'm telling everybody my story that watches this, but I actually see who opens each link. This will go out. I'll be able to see if you're watching this and you click on this link, I'll be able to see it and I might call you. So, well, this has been fantastic. So just to kind of put a bow on this, I highly recommend Robby, for coaching for agents, for team leaders. I've gone through his coaching. My ISA's gone through his coaching. I don't know, Kelly, if you were in that or Johnny or Sonny.
I was not in that. No.
Okay, it was Johnny and Sonny went through. I think we had a call with you. So where can people find you, Robby?
Yeah, so we're really clever. We call everything Hatch. So just go to hatchcoaching.com. HATCH, like an egg hatching. And hatchcoaching.com is the easiest way. Hit me up on Facebook as well. You can follow me there. Check me out, Instagram. Just search Robby T, usually finds me. So my last name, I don't even ever try saying it.
Nice. Well, when we post this, we'll put some links on our Instagram to yours. And thank you so much. I'd love to have you again in 6 months or so.
Let's do it. This is fun. It's fun having her coming on, and I appreciate it. And again, I hope it gets warmer for you guys.
All right, buddy. Have a great weekend.
Good.
Bye.
Bye.